law around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do, or the trouble that we get into. Other than a wild hair once in a while, we can't help it, it's just our style.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Bright and early Monday morning. Glad you're all here. Start of a new week. Start of a new midweek, mid-month. I don't know.
Almost.
Trying to make it work.
You know, so
Easter week. There we go.
You guys see, Cody, now this is an idea like we were just talking about. You don't know what you're going to talk about until the great one, the talent, he says something in my brain. You know, we weren't going to talk about this, but we're going to talk about this. So how do you guys at the state level, are you paid twice a month, like 15th and last day of the month, or they just put it all in your account on the first? So you get paid once a month.
Yep.
See, I'd be broke by the 12th, but
You got to learn to budget
I know.
and be responsible. You can't, it's not like college when I did get paid once a month and blew it all by the
Sure.
15th and then sold,
There's Uncle Norm.
then sold blood and whatever else I had.
Plasma.
Sperm.
There's a bunch of kids in Pullman, Washington that look like Ash and say A.
Are we not supposed to sell plasma every month? I thought that was part of the deal.
I think you can sell it almost every
Day.
can't you?
So
I think.
Dawn, as we really, really digress, Dawn gets paid every other Friday. So 26 pay cycles a year. Whereas at GSM, we get paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. So what's interesting to me.
So some days you work for more, some months you work for more, months you work for
I
less.
eat what I kill at any rate. But the idea would be we seem to flourish when my monthly cycle and hers coexist. I don't like it when I get paid one week and she gets paid the next, and it helps when we get a pretty
when
good
both
chunk
your
of-
cycles are on.
Yeah, when we're on the same cycle, it all works. But anyway, I was just thinking about that because today is the 14th,
Correct.
so I don't get paid till tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow's tax day too.
Yeah, well, tomorrow's extension day for me and has been for a long time. The Wade and Carter weather is brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. Get by and see the wonderful folks at Deerland Feed. Go in and find Jackie Parsons, and they're just super nice folks. And great advice time. You go by and say, man, my neighbor's yards are popping and mine aren't. Go by and see them. They can help you out. It's 68 degrees in Victoria under partly cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 86. Now, Linda
Same as
Chris says
yesterday.
it's better for the workers to get paid once a week. I don't disagree. And my agency is very, very, very generous. There's lots of times that say the 15th will fall on a Monday, and they'll go ahead and pay folks the Friday before.
Oh, that's nice.
And it is nice because the weekend
Can't get drunk on the weekend if you have no money.
Well, so sometimes some companies actually make that decision and say, well, I'm going to save my people a couple $100 this weekend and not pay them. But they don't owe it to you till the 15th.
Yeah.
So, but it does allow you to make all the long dollar grocery shopping and all that. Although I can't remember. I think the cheapest I've gotten out of, say, HEB, I went in and bought a pack of gum. I think it was $50. But other than that, every time you go into a grocery store nowadays, it's at least $100.
$100
right? It's at
easy.
least
Yeah.
$100. And
I'm going to tell you my little secret, and some are finding it, and they've become a little bit of a, I don't know what the word is, cult-like movement for grocery shopping. I tested it out. I bought the exact same things, brand-wise, not brand specific, but the same items, right?
okay.
$97 walking out of H-E-B.
Yeah.
$67 walking out of Aldi's.
Is that right?
$30 savings on, and I bought the exact same stuff 1 week to the next. It was crazy.
Wow. Torn Bales, thank you. Torn Bales says GSM also pays that rent like clockwork. You bet they do. We're very proud tenants of a Torn Bales building, and it's just been a wonderful spot for us.
Mark Hurt, Stephanie Connie, Torn Bales, first ones in this morning on the podium. Good morning, Bobby Leister, Judge Posey, Greg Garcia.
Morning, good people.
Marvin Mickish, good morning. Linda Chris, Norm, Uncle Norm, Scott Tomko, Micah Patton, Tommy Kingston.
Hey, Tommy.
Monty Howard, good morning. Lisa Poole, Junior Samples, Sarah Elkins, Tammy Keeling.
Tommy, we're putting the softball team back together. I'm trying to get Craig Logger to play a little right field. He just laughed. He's like 67 years old. He laughed. I said, we can still take those old guys. John Bynum, put him out in the outfield. We'd be okay.
Jordan Glass, Scott Snow,
Chris Wilburn, get him out there, play some third base.
David Glass, Wendy Hughes Garcia, Lisa Poole, Brad Mitchell.
Are you going to make Riker your mascot?
He would be the wonder dog, of course.
Y'all could be the wonder dog.
Speaking of old guys, Rory.
Yeah.
Coming through, winning the Masters.
44 years old. No, not 44 years old. He's not that old. He's in his 30s still. No, Justin Rose, to me, story of the weekend. Justin Rose, 44 years old. And, Nicholas won the Masters at the age of 46 in 86, and that was a big deal.
Yeah.
But now, Justin Rose really looked competitive. Certainly wasn't any physical limitation to his defeat.
10 birdies yesterday.
Yeah, but he also had like 4 bogeys.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Rory is 35.
Yeah, he's right in his prime. 10 birdies. Be small, of course, you're in center.
Junior Samples
hit the cutoff, man.
He'll play left out.
Look at that. Tommy says, I'm there. I'm playing now, 72. But, Tommy, do you ever trip over your walker on the way to first? Do they have a designated runner who's like 65? I would pull a hamstring if I tried to run 60 feet, flat out. I'd have to do like a double in the gap just to leg out a single.
Yeah, you would stretch it into a single.
Maybe in the senior league, y'all could just walk.
Well, that would be fun.
No running.
It would be fun.
It'd be race walking like in the Olympics. You can't.
That's right.
You can't.
Bend your knees.
One foot has to be on the ground at all times. I think is the deal.
We need a sport that, as pickleball is to tennis, this game is to softball.
It's called wiffle ball. Where
that's right. You go on a really small field. Yeah.
T-ball field.
Yeah, I like that.
So you and I got to talking about Jim Nance yesterday, and I thought, and you and I had differing opinions during the Masters coverage. I thought he did a better job of turning things over to the people on the holes.
Hello, friends. A tradition unlike any other.
Who's the Aussie? Ian Baker Finch? Is that who?
One for the ages. Just spare me. What we watched yesterday was Rory McIlroy survive, literally holding to the rope by his teeth, another Rory McIlroy choke job.
Yeah, and at the end, Jim Nance goes, and I couldn't believe he said it.
I can't believe it either.
McIlroy, a masterpiece.
Terrible. Rory McIlroy went home last night, slept with the trophy, and had nightmares. The guy needed to make a 4-footer in regulation to win the tournament, puts his way into a playoff. And then, yes, did he hit great shots? Yes, you're not in the playoff in a major.
First guy ever to win the majors with 5 bogeys.
Right. This guy.
Or no, 4 double bogeys in the tournament, and he bogeyed the last hole to force a playoff.
But not since Ben Crenshaw openly wept after Harvey Pinnock died, and the drama of that. Only at the Masters does this make sense that Pinnock was his coach for all those years.
Yeah, at UT.
And mentor and friend.
If you golf and haven't ever read the little red book.
It's a great little book, which makes the game make sense.
Yep.
And Harvey died like during the first or second round of the Masters. And Crenshaw came to Texas, went to the funeral, was a pallbearer, went back and played Sunday, obviously, visibly drained emotionally, and won the tournament, which is incredible in and of itself. That you could, it's not like golf is not like football where you can just summon the will.
Well, and think about it. Back then, this wasn't in the era of golfers taking charter flights everywhere.
Oh no, it was a pain. The whole thing was an act of love. To where when he closed out the tournament on 18, he literally collapsed into his caddy. He was just mentally and physically exhausted.
And thanks to no global warming and climate change, there were no flight delays that day.
Absolutely. But never since then have I seen a more genuine display of emotion than Rory McIlroy, who for the last 11 years, he's been to the Masters 14 times. And for the last 11 years, he has had all three legs of the Grand Slam, that being the PGA, the US Open, and the Open Championship. And everybody's like, at the time, so at the age of, do the math, 21, 22, no, at the age of 24, all he needs is the Masters. And every year, you even had an interview with the other golfer who said, I don't want to talk about Rory.
Shane Lowry.
So every year it's like, Rory, is this year? Well, my game is good. Hey, and my game is good. I know he's not Canadian, but he's Irish.
Yeah.
And
you don't do a good Irish.
I can't do it. I don't drink enough to do a good Irish. But every year Rory's like, I feel good. My game is good. And he's always played well. I think he's been a runner-up a couple of times. I might be making that up, but he's always competitive. And I think you and I talked about it. I was in a stream with a couple other guys. It had to be the year because he can't play better for 4 days than he did this week.
I don't know. He might play better.
But goodness gracious, he's on 13. That's the par 5, right? Yes.
Yes.
And Ray's Creek comes into play.
Oh, yeah. And
he's got like a 4-stroke lead. So he lays up and he's like, here to there. And he hits a sand wedge into the drink. Like, that was the dumbest thing ever. I'm sure he thought to himself.
And not even close to where he was aiming.
No,
they were saying he was looking
It's
left, and this thing went right and short and then rolled back into the creek.
Terrible shot. And the thing is, if you think about it, he could have gone for it in 2, but in the same creek in 2, out in 3, on in 4.
Instead, he doubles.
Instead, he's in 3, out in 4, on in 5, and double bogeys the hole.
Yeah.
And he as he walked away, you see him just shaking his head. And I remember something Tiger Woods said years ago. When I hit a bad shot, I allow myself a count of 10 to be mad at myself, mad at the situation, mad at the world. A count of 10. It usually happens in about 10 steps.
To the next tee box.
By the time I get to the next ball, the next shot, I'm like a little kid again, excited about the opportunity to try to craft this shot. McIlroy stumbled during the round, but held on. The reason I was proud for him is so what he does is he
didn't go Bryson DeChambeau and just completely crater after taking the lead.
Yeah, he choked. But you go Gene Sarazen, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Nicklaus, Woods, and now McIlroy as the only 6 men ever to complete the career Grand Slam. You have to give a little bit of love to Bobby Jones because in that era, he had the effect of the Grand Slam.
Arnie never won it.
So Arnie never won it. Sam Snead never won it. Byron Nelson never won it.
What didn't they have when Arnie was playing?
No, they had him. He just didn't win.
Okay.
I don't think he ever won a British. I can't be positive. Someone look it up. Someone.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. There you go. Matt Boucher says, but talk to all the other pros that never won the match. Amen. But imagine the pressure the kid was feeling. And 35, he's a kid. But hats off to Rory. He literally got down on his knees on the green and openly sobbed. And then he cried to everybody that hugged him. And then he talked about going home to see his mom and dad in a couple of weeks, and he cried again in Butler Cabin.
Well, because his parents have been there for previous
He's an only
opens
child.
when he thought he was going to win it, right? Or
Yeah.
previous Masters, and he never did.
Even his parents said, forget it.
Yeah,
You
you
ain't going.
got a chance.
Airfare is expensive. You'll choke.
I will say this, and watching Steve Lowry, another Irishman who, or is it Shane Lowry?
Shane Lowry.
Steve Lowry was in that movie with Martin.
And he wasn't even Irish.
Shane Lowry.
The guy just walks off the 18th green.
And they start asking, and the first thing they ask him, what do you think about Rory? And he's like, I'm not here to talk about Rory. I'm here to talk about me.
Right. And then he goes, in fact, bye. And he left.
Yeah, he left. Well, and the other thing, he starts rambling. He goes, I don't think it's fair that I need to start talking to you right when I'm done my round. I don't get any time to just decompress and go through the emotions and what I went through. And now I got to talk to you guys, the tennis players. They got to do it. They're right there on the camera. It's part of their contract. Every other sport, they get time.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
What is the guy's name
That's pretty good.
that was actually a pretty good Irish right there? That's why you
Might have
kept
been a little-
going.
Might have been a little Scottish.
He's been drinking already.
The stuff you were saying quit being interesting,
Yeah.
but you were so enamored with your accent.
Yep.
You just kept going. That sounds like
That's paraphrasing in Irish.
That sounds like the Mark Carney guy in Canada. What was the guy's name? Somebody help me. He won one of the big majors just a couple of years ago. He's a big guy. He doesn't necessarily look like a golfer. And
Commander Cody?
no, and he drank a lot. He used to drink a lot. He had gray hair. It was just a affable party guy. I don't mean he's a drunk. He's not John Daly. But he was either Irish or Scottish. And dark gray-headed. I'm just
Judge
drawing.
Posey, I'm sure.
I'm just drawing a blank on who it was and what he won. Judge Posey says Arnold Palmer never won the PGA, which is interesting since his father was a greenskeeper. Very interesting. I'm sure that's the one he coveted the most for his father. Anyway, that guy said, "Hey, tonight I think he was Irish. He
Might
was
have been Lowry.
no. It was his wife died. Isn't that a bad deal when you're like the charades champ? You know everything about the guy, but except who he is.
Is this the guy that always wore sunglasses and like
No.
bright shirts?
No, that's John Daly.
Okay, that's who.
No, this guy is probably 55 years old now. Maybe not quite. Maybe 50 years old.
I can't think of it.
Journeyman on
I
the
can see him,
tour.
yeah.
You can see round face.
Colin Montgomery.
No. Monty was just a pig. Let's take a quick break and welcome
we'll get into
everybody in.
something else.
Parvita Wellness, get in and get healthy. It's a Monday. Today's a good day to start the rest of your life. Be small. You should be able to find out who that guy is. I'm not joking here. He was wearing I can see him in a black shirt. He's got gray hair.
Phil Mickelson.
No, Phil. You know the difference between
Tom DeLuise.
oh,
Who's the guy that always smokes cigars? No, this
I don't
is
know.
the guy I'm
Ricardo
thinking.
Montalban. Paravita Wellness, get in and get healthy. Today is a great day to start your new health program. I can't explain to you how much
Yeah.
telling Erica what you want to accomplish and allowing her to help you formulate that meal plan is a life changer. Like, just call her, get by there. Look that guy, but I don't think that's who it was.
I'm just looking.
Allen's Wrecker Service. George Burns, cigar smoker. 578-6300. George. Get in and see Allen if you need. Go back about if you're going.
Well,
to,
no, because that's all the match play stuff. I'm getting
Nah.
into the current because it wasn't that long ago.
Allen's Wrecker Service. They're the ones that can help you. No kidding. You need a tow. They're the ones that can tow you. It was in here somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you're killing me. Veracruz Restaurant. It's a Monday. Get into Veracruz.
Okay, it wasn't the PGA.
Have the best Mexican food, U.S. Open. Best Mexican food in town, period. Period. Just the best of the best. Best queso, best guacamole, award-winning guacamole. Best
Very good.
homemade tortillas. Do it. You'll be thrilled. USA Concrete Coatings. Let USA level they can level your driveway, level your home.
Put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't.
Crack, stick, peel, or fade. It's not that one either. Try the Open Championship. They do great work, and they're super nice folks. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com, the best place for your next vehicle, whether you want a new Chevy,
Mitsubishi,
or you want a gently pre-owned vehicle that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. Reach out to Atzenhofer.
They got you covered
for all your vehicular needs. Brand Us. Brand Us has branded us. Let them help you. No. Darren Clark. There we have it, folks. From Northern Ireland, Darren Clark.
Yep.
He's won 21 tournaments on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, he's
affable gentleman. Super nice guy. Trivia complete. The Dollar Floor Store. The Dollar Floor Store
is the floor trader. You need to get by there.
Absolutely.
For all your flooring needs. Vinyl, luxury vinyl plank, old school linoleum.
You see,
peel and stick tile.
You see,
laminate, wood, carpet, tile.
They do it all.
Yep,
you can do
tile.
Carpet tiles. Brian Small comes in with finally brings some value. He says, who gives guacamole awards? Oh, ye of white bread upbringing in the Hurst, Euless, Bedford area. Those of us that live in South Texas will compete for anything. And in our community, Ida's guacamole won a contest here in town.
Yeah. Plus the Avocado Growers Association does give those awards.
Absolutely.
Which
is a little bit, you would think that might be self-serving.
Yeah.
But it may not really be. No. It may be just a tribute to Americana.
Junior Sample says there's an all-woman space launch today in Texas. I just hope they don't hit the curb with the wheels of that thing.
No kidding. You know, somebody's going to be in the back seat going, slow down, slow down. What do we got? We got
this will be interesting tomorrow because I believe
Woodrow
Wilson Wagner's
going
to be on the show.
What a clown show! What an absolute clown show our leftist wannabe Victorian neighbors are. I'm sorry,
and it's not just here; it's every other state
it's everywhere.
As well.
But the fact that Victoria has always been, look, we don't want zoning in our community because it's, by golly, it's my land and I'll do with it as I please. And yet there's a small faction of sheep in our community who can't think outside of their own box, that have decided that whatever the national leftist, communist, Democrat Party agenda is, then that's the one we're going to buy into. Even though it's 90% of the time, it's irrelevant to our region.
Yeah.
We're going to buy into it because we believe trans should play in boys' sports. We believe in a woman's right to choose. We believe in whatever you want to believe in at that moment, the price of eggs, climate change, global warming, you name it. These idiots line up, and now they're so excited. Please read their ignorant comment.
Join Americans in other 50 states and D.C. for more good trouble.
There you have it. Not for a constructive gathering, not to actually make a difference, and dang sure not to wave the American flag because we hate America. Let's stir up some good trouble.
They're hoping something escalates.
They want somebody to
really
come by and hit them with a car, but Republicans are too busy going to work.
The next protest will be April 19th, this Saturday, right before Easter, surprisingly.
Yeah, Easter Saturday.
Because they don't believe in
Jesus and God
anyway.
Nothing to do.
No.
God and family, nothing to do with their program.
It's not over until Trump is over. Everyone concerned about our democracy is welcome. Bring signs, flags, and protests. Here's how you know this one isn't on the radar, because they wouldn't be telling you to bring your flags or your signs, because the paid Soros people would be showing up with U-Hauls and giving out the signs. But listen to some of the crap. We the people serve no kings.
Okay, neither do we.
These are the things that going on nationwide. Hands-off picnic.
So you can have a hands-off picnic. Okay, so we're having a picnic.
What do you do?
How do you eat your food?
That's a good question.
Through a straw, because most of them are 100 years old.
Freedom Rising, April 19th, continue the revolution. These are just some of the brochures around the country. We the People, April 19th, York City Square.
They'll be out there with their walkers.
We the people serve no kings. That's the only time they ever start quoting our Declaration of Independence, Constitution-like phrasing.
Right.
They don't believe in this. They don't
Avoid the
believe in this at all.
Constitution.
Yeah.
Sure. Greg Garcia, the left in Victoria enjoy being the lemmings following each other off the cliff.
Kelly Frommy says paper straws.
Absolutely. So what you're going to have, Woodrow Wilson Wagner is going to come on. You'll recall that about 2 years ago?
Yeah.
We were in another studio 2 years before we moved up to the palatial.
A long time ago.
The palatial offices at 205 and employed a director, producer extraordinaire. Woodrow Wilson Wagner decided
to walk away.
He was like the biggest Democrat.
He was the chair of the Democrat Party.
Be like Bill Posey saying, "I'm not a Republican anymore." He just said, "Look, man, the
party's lost me.
The Democrat Party in Victoria has lost me." And he made a very, politics is selfish. Politics is not about right and wrong. Politics is about power and authority and grasping it. And he made a solid point. He unashamedly admitted the fact. My job as chair of the Democrat Party of Victoria is to get Democrats elected. That's my job.
Yeah.
And the Democrats here wouldn't allow him to do it. Because rather than, for example, they would gladly promote, as you hear, the state of Maine has now totally rebuffed President Trump's demand to set aside trans in sports. No men in women's sports. The Department of Education, in one of its last official acts, is making plans now to defund, take away federal funding to the state from the federal government. But our leftists here, totally for it. Everybody should participate in sports. And if little Billy thinks he's little Lisa, then little Lisa should be able to play. Little Lisa ran a 10 flat split in the 4x100.
Yeah, but at least she's not, blasting volleyballs into girls' faces.
Right. 6'4",
breaking their orbital bones and giving them facial
absolutely
disfigurement for life.
And then when women decide, well, we're not going to play those guys, the next thing you know, they're like, oh, you women are so ungrateful. Why is it the left standing up for women? What happened to that? You need to quit volleyball and go abort a baby. That's what you need to do. The left is just showing the greatest thing that can happen is for all of this ridiculous idiocy to stretch out until the midterms. Please keep having your hands-off party because the country is taking their hands off you. Nobody follows the garbage y'all are spewing, and you've got no response to the things that the right is doing. Even if the right is doing the wrong things, you've got no response to it except we hate Trump. We hate Trump. That's fine. What are you going to do?
That's their default when something actually works. What's really gotten interesting is Bill Maher went and had dinner with the president, a couple of weeks ago, and talked about it on Friday night on his show.
By the way, Bill Maher, definitely not a Republican.
No.
In fact, I got
friends with Kid Rock, which I surprisingly, and I've always liked Bill Maher. I think he's funny. I think he's somewhat political. I'm not going to
very political.
Well, very political. But I don't always agree with him. But
I rarely agree with him.
He interestingly enough, he is probably a libertarian.
True, because he's a pothead,
and he didn't like Trump, and so he ended up skewing more Democrat. I've liked his talk show. He brings on left and right. He's had Ben Shapiro on many times on his show.
I would say he's
really
probably
good.
He's a very high IQ individual.
Yeah,
very,
so.
very, very smart man. But
I'm not going to lump him into George Carlin type political wit.
No, it's not even that kind of wit. No. But he's a guy that'll say, for all the Republicans that are against a living wage, as you sit at your country club and sip tea, but so he's the guy that his monologue, I always look at it like this. He has a choice to develop his monologue, and he often develops a monologue that just skewers one side of the Republican pancake. And yet, are you going to play something that he said?
No, because I listened to it and I don't want an F-bomb to drop.
But please tell the folks what we discussed about what he said.
But he basically went there and here's the reaction to it.
He had dinner with the president.
Yeah.
One-on-one. I mean, they had dinner.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say it was supportive. Well, yeah, it kind of was supportive of Trump. Junior Samples watched it as well. But he basically said the Trump that you see is not the Trump that I met. And Michael Cloud, our congressman, has told us the exact same sort of thing. And everybody's like, well, then he's crazy if this is just an act. No, it's not that at all. You need to get stuff done on the world stage. This is how you have to act because the United States has been bullied.
We're a doormat.
For so long, you have to act like a bully and stand up to the one world order. And I know that sounds conspiracy theorist. Get both fingers here. But it's not.
Gayla Golf says the left's agenda is just Trump derangement syndrome.
That's all.
Welcome, Gayla.
Yeah, that's all they have. Melissa Hanson, good morning. Funky Trey, good morning.
Yeah.
Look at that. Where's Joaquin Ramon?
Hey, Joaquin. Love you, buddy. I hope you have a great day at school.
Who else is in? Andrew Alvarez, good morning.
Let me tell you, when Michael Cloud was maybe in his second, remember Michael had to be in like 3 terms in like 8 months. Remember that? He took over a term, then he had to run again. Anyway, he was in Houston at a rally during Trump's first term. And President Trump found him in the audience. Hey, Michael, I'm going to see you afterwards. Let's talk afterwards. And he asked him, hey, buddy, when are you going back to D.C.? And Michael said, well, I've got a flight this evening, sir. And he goes, do you still have all your bags and everything? And he goes, well, just fly with me on Air Force One. Wow, what an honor. What an opportunity and what a privilege.
Yeah.
So he gets on Air Force One. The president had been up. He'd made like 2 stops, came to Houston, did the rally. He says it's like midnight when they board the plane. The man's 72 at the time. He said that the president personally waited on him on the flight, a freshman, a very early congressman. He said the president said, hey, you want a bottle of water?
You want a Big Mac?
And Chibuga. And Michael said, yes, sir, a bottle of water would be great. And there's a phone right there. Yeah, hey, bring us 2 bottles of water. Thanks a lot. No, the president got up. He said, excuse me a moment, left the room, went and got a bottle of water. And you may say to yourself, well, he just did that so Michael would tell people. You can say that if you want. But if he was the narcissistic clown that everybody wants him to be believed as, boom, he'd have pushed that button. Hey, bring us some water back here, please.
Well, the funniest thing is Bill Maher had 60 different epithets he called him of derogatory things that President Trump had said about him.
Oh, about him. That's right.
And he took it with him and got Donald Trump to autograph it, and he did.
It's awesome.
But Bill Maher probably lost his leftist followers because he didn't come out and skewer President Trump after his meeting. And they're all like, well, he's deranged because why can't he be like this? Because if he was like this, and this is probably the Trump behind closed doors that we don't get to see when he meets with Putin, Netanyahu, Merkel, Trudeau. But the Trump that shows up publicly has to be there. He's got to talk tough, and then he has to walk the walk to back up the talk because we've been pushed around for so long, maybe not militarily, although we haven't won a war in decades.
Yeah.
But certainly economically and influentially. And we've kowtowed to China. Since Nixon, we have given up everything to China.
Yeah, that's
And we
got
have
to change.
and we have a president that says no more.
John Anderson asked, some of you old timers, no offense, Judge Posey, chime in. When was the last time, if ever, that a president visited Victoria, Texas? I don't believe a sitting president, certainly not in my lifetime, has ever been here. It would have to have been Kennedy, Johnson, maybe. Johnson, I'm sure, came when he was a senator, but
Clinton came after. I remember one time he was downtown. I'm wondering if
Hey,
I'm wondering
y'all got a Whataburger
if
down
Roosevelt was ever here because he used to visit the Tarpon Inn back in the day.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You see Clinton, hey, where's that Mexican food? Y'all got a massage parlor?
Well, that might have been one of the funniest parts of Bill Maher's little monologue. 12 minutes he spent talking about Trump because the room where Bill Clinton used to get serviced is now full of merch.
You got to admit, though, at any rate, one-on-one, the president had an effect on Bill Maher.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Bill Maher's going to change his
No,
politics.
and he said he's not going to. He said,
No.
and he's still going to, call him out. And he said he told him things that he disagreed on him with. And he said, the president asked me my opinion on things.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you mean? I haven't asked you this. But
No, George came when he was governor,
Governor,
and announced he was going to run for president. Yeah.
I do have to call kind of.
Take our next break and then call out whoever you're going to call out.
Okay, I will do so. Folks, Chesnick Furniture. Chesnick and Love have been making your house a home for over 100 years. You should get by and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. Bobby
Always.
Leon and his family have got bedding, Tempur-Pedic bedding, Stearns & Foster. They've got it all. Sealy Posturepedic. They've got best furniture, best recliners. You can go in now, and they've got all the different samples, materials, and you can say, well, I like this sofa, and it may just be gray, but I want a different leg on it, and I want it to be leather, and yada yada yada, and they can order that for you.
Yeah.
And it's custom furniture, but it's instead of them having to keep $5 billion worth of inventory in a warehouse somewhere, they can order what you want and pass the savings on to you. That's really the way to do it.
And if they have it, they'll get it to you today too.
Get by Chesnick. Went Electrical. Went for all your emergency service. You've got a problem, Went's there to help. You start hearing a clicking noise in an outlet, you need to call Went. You don't need something to short out and catch your home on fire. Call Went. If the grid fails, your new Generac American made in Wisconsin generator is part of a turnkey service program where immediately everything works. You don't get it in a box sitting on your driveway from FedEx, and then you got to go find a plumber, find an electrician. You got to hire some ne'er-do-well like Junior to come out who really doesn't know what he's doing, but did watch it once on a YouTube video. You need to reach out to Went.
Next thing you know, Junior's involved and it's covered in leather.
Unbelievable. White Trash Services. You live in the county, White Trash can help you with all of your. Yeah, I was flattered. I went out. I was out in Inez over the weekend, and I just saw the little dumpsters that they're not big. They're the little. I don't know what to call them. They're little. They're little dumpsters. That's what they are. It's like if your kid rides a short bus,
Weekly collection.
Yeah,
basically.
but it's much bigger than a trash can. They were on every corner. Hats off to White Trash for cornering that market. Give White Trash Services or White Trash Site Services a call today. Ash, you're going to tell you about the chopping block. It's Monday.
Yeah, their Easter menu is still available. I went by last week and I picked up 2 of their $10 New York strips. Angus steaks, cooked them both on the weekend. One on one day, one on the next. I didn't eat them both. They're about £1 each. They were good.
Oh yeah, really
and
nice.
I don't know where you're getting a steak like that for $10. Tender, just enough marbling because I love that. I love that fat on the grill.
Cody, who even knew that a horse had a New York strip?
I did not know that till right now.
Trigger.
Anyway, the Easter menu at the chopping block is here. Still a few spots remaining. So they've got smoked meats fully cooked, ready to reheat and serve. Whole smoked prime natural Angus brisket, $150.
Great stuff, folks. The
you
food
can't
is
buy
fantastic.
it for that cheap, but then you spend 8 hours trying to smoke it. It's never going to come out as good. You want a Wagyu smoked brisket, $200.
Wagyu's expensive.
Smoked rack of ribs, $30 each. Whole smoked turkey, $75. Turkey breast on the bone for $50. They've got smoked prime rib, $25 a pound, 3-pound minimum.
What I like about both John and Sean is they constantly compete. They compete in these big time barbecue events really to hone their skills. And it was them that told me, get this hanger steak, cook it like you would fajitas, slice it thin, and just eat. It was so tender. It was unbelievable. So what I want to tell you about.
And then anyway, real quick, if you want to cook your own, they've got briskets for $8.99 a pound, Wagyu briskets for $12.99 a pound. Wow. Anything. Anyway, so either they'll cook it for you or you can take it home and cook it.
I was in the other day, they had like boudin stuffed chicken breast, things that you could do them at home, but would you?
They become messy.
Yeah. Get them like that. The boudin's already cooked. You just either grill or bake the chicken slowly, maybe baste it a little bit. Just be phenomenal.
So what were you going to tell me?
I was going to tell you that we see through all the politics pretty well. I got a fundamental problem with the optics of like Kristi Noem standing around in full camo with her Joe Biden Wayfair sunglasses on, brandishing an M16, talking about border security. I'm just not buying it.
She's Homeland Security.
Oh, whatever. She should be out there in a sharp, let's let it be tan. But she needs to be in a nice suit representing the administration. I think it's disingenuous, and it sends to me as an educated person, which you know what? We talk about it all the time with the exception of our audience. The American public by and large is really dumb. They're really dumb. And they think of her as being the top cop. And it's just dumb that the administration plays into that to me.
What was it George Carlin said? Think of how stupid the average person is and realize that half of the people are stupider than that. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing Carlin, but
let me give you one. If you don't think that the average person is really stupid, listen to what I heard on the news the other day. Torn Bales is absolutely correct. It's hard to make her look bad. I didn't say she looked bad. She'd be like the best looking Rambo ever. But the other day, and many of you probably didn't notice this because, you were going to work, but our hands-off people, we had what they call a micro moon. And the reason it's called a micro moon is the orbit is elliptical and the moon was at its farthest point from the earth and happened to be a full moon, which only happens every now and then. And they call it a micro moon. You'll recall that a couple of months ago, we had a moon that looked like it was fixing to land at the Victoria airport because it was on the backside of the ellipse. All right. So
the super moon, right?
The guy said literally, this weekend we'll have the micro moon. The moon is at its farthest point from the earth and will still be full. To observe the micro moon, walk outside and look up. No kidding. I guess they were trying to say you don't need special glasses. It's not like you're looking at a
eclipse, solar eclipse. But there are people who think if the moon is eclipsed, you need glasses.
So stupid.
Yep.
The American public, stupid, lazy, fat. If you can't overcome it, our country is doomed. Understand this. I listened this morning, Breitbart guy was talking about Mike Rowe, the Dirty Jobs guy?
Yep.
Mike Rowe said that there are 7.2 million able-bodied men, Americans, on welfare in this country. You know what we need to do now? Phase out welfare. You don't get an extra $750 a month for squirting out one more kid in the middle of Detroit. By the way, if you're on welfare and let's say you have 2 kids. See, the Dems want to keep getting more bodies because we don't have enough bodies to sustain America. I'd rather die with a group of people that are willing to work than live forever with a bunch of people that are on the government dole that won't do anything.
Yeah.
If you've got 2 kids and you're still on welfare, we tying your tubes, sister. We tying your tubes. You don't get no more welfare for that 3rd kid.
I would just stop it there. I mean, you can't go and tie their tubes, but no more welfare.
Well, you should. I tell you
This ain't-
what.
This ain't China.
I don't know, man. Chinese have a good idea every now and then. I'm just saying, no more welfare. And if you're a man and you're on welfare and you're not disabled from the military, time to start relying on your church and on your friends, because it's time to get off the government tit. There you have it. Them brothers be finding Jesus quick. I need some help. That's just the way it is. It is time. And the white trash too. Get the white trash off the meth, out of the ditches. Ain't nothing more embarrassing. You look around and see these idiots walking around. They ain't got any teeth in their head from smoking that garbage.
Where's was it Governor Stevens in Wisconsin that actually reformed their welfare system, and Wisconsin has gone, I think, back to where they were. Like, he got people off of welfare.
Just
and they
phase it out.
Yep, and they liked it, and things were going good.
I'll even support this. Yeah, I used to say accurately, if we started two declining curves at one time, one is welfare goes away and the minimum wage goes away. At some point, it's better for you to go to work than try to make a living off the government.
I got a great idea too. Let's take anybody on welfare who's able-bodied.
Send them to Ukraine.
Not exactly.
What would you do?
But similar. Instead of the Peace Corps, let's send them to the places we need some work done around the globe. Why are we giving China unfettered access
That's right.
to Africa?
That's right.
Just an idea.
I tell you what I would do. I'd support it tomorrow. Here's my trade-off. Beginning tomorrow, minimum wage in this country is $15 an hour. Beginning in 18 months, there ain't no more welfare. You go find a way to meet your needs starting at $15 an hour. And in no time, if you can learn, if you're employable.
I'm not sure I like that, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The minimum wage in California is what, 15, I think? I was just in San Diego last week for work. The same sandwich lunch that I would find here for $20, $50
True
before
story.
tip. $50 for a sandwich?
Yeah.
And 2 beers.
Yeah. Melissa says it should only be temporary to help you get back on your feet. I don't disagree with that. Don't get me wrong. The Bible says the poor will always be among us. That's fine. If the able,
But with all the money we're giving all these NGOs that are helping all these illegals come across the country, why aren't they using some of that to work on the people here that need the help?
Commander can find us some verses in Proverbs about being sluggard and slothly, and the great King Solomon will tell you, you don't work, you don't eat.
Christy Thurman says California needs to fall off into the ocean.
Now, that would create a
The San
tsunami.
Andreas Fault part to the west of that.
Yeah.
Well, San Diego's a nice city, I'm not going to lie. But because the eastern part of California and the rural areas, very red, very, very conservative, but they just can't get any traction.
So back to these leftist fools that are going to have another
Yeah.
rally here that nobody's going to go to except them and nobody cares about. Think about the fact that they're still all bunched up.
Chugging a beer over there?
He is. They're bunched up about Doge. That's really what this is all about. Hands off. These are essential government services. Hands off these government services. Bunk.
Yeah.
Get rid of those people that don't serve any purpose. There's a bunch of them.
You know, I got to thinking over the weekend, seeing that, you know, the state house passed the budget, $24 billion budget surplus. We pull in $47 billion the number I saw in annual sales tax revenue.
In the state?
Yeah. Why don't we cut our sales tax rate so that $25 billion could go back to the people?
Never going to happen.
No, it's never going to, but
It's
it
never gonna
should.
happen.
But it should. Why do we have to spend? And I get it. Everybody's proud of the fact that Texas legislatures, by law, have to pass a balanced budget. But we never seem to cut spending.
And it's balanced in such a way that you're still getting the chorizo.
Although I will say this, and I wonder if this played a role in Governor or Attorney General Paxton deciding to run for senator.
There's a chance.
Because from what I saw, his Attorney General's budget's getting cut like 10%.
And you'll see that Ken Paxton, while a lightning rod for controversy, and if I'm objective, he's been on this program. Are we friends? No. He's been on this program, and I'd have to say to him, to his face, there's a lot of smoke around you, and all my life when there's been that much smoke, there's usually a little fire somewhere. I'm not saying that the ends don't justify the means. I'm not saying that he doesn't bring great value to the state of Texas. But I am saying that I'm not going to be one of those blind defenders that just says, Ken Paxton's a great guy. He's misunderstood. He may be absolutely understood, but it's kind of like you want him on that wall. You need him on that wall. And I need him to beat John Cornyn.
Yep.
I need John Cornyn to be unelected in this coming cycle.
But I'm disappointed with the way this state gets run and conservatives saying they're conservative and then vote in a huge budget. And I'm learning a little bit more about who voted for what, and it'll be interesting to see. But it's crazy.
Yeah.
Surplus is funding property tax relief. Well, but what really, I mean, what property tax relief are we seeing? Really?
Minimal tax relief.
No, I don't know. I'm just frustrated that we've, $24 billion surplus. We got to spend every single dime of it. That's not conservative. You have a $2,400 surplus. What are you doing with it? Paying down any debt or maybe putting it into your 401k or your IRA?
I was thinking about drinking.
Okay, there you go.
Linda Chris says, Melissa Hanson, it's hard to stop generational welfare. It is, because there's people that have always been on the dole,
we've incentivized it,
and their kids have only seen them. I'm waiting on my check. Until they get that check, we don't eat. Nobody ever says, hey, you know what? There's this thing here, free education.
There are people that avoid the grocery stores.
Yep.
On the days that people get their government checks.
Monty Howard points out Cornyn has already started the personal attacks on Paxton from D.C. John Cornyn has no record to stand on, folks.
No, but he's got Karl Rove in his pocket, and it's going to be a hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Paxton.
It's hard to upset a sitting senator who's been there forever. And all he has to do is just raise enough doubt to make Paxton look bad.
Yeah.
We've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Ken Paxton at some point took money from somebody who knew a guy who once said that the Nazis weren't so bad. That's going to come out at some point, that he knew a guy who once said,
Yeah, exactly.
Am I wrong? I mean, that's what'll happen.
That's exactly what'll happen.
Ken Paxton once bought gasoline from a store, a Citgo, and they were once communists from Venezuela. Ken Paxton's a communist. We've seen that cycle here.
Yeah.
You'll start getting the mail outs. Get ready for the mail outs. Unbelievable. I think I'm
going to keep every one of them in my mail that I get in the mailbox. Between the two of them, and just I want keep them all.
Yeah, let's.
And here's my pledge to you. I will vote for whichever one sends me less of them.
Wow. I'm going to come out and steal the ones from Paxton. But what we should do is point out the stuff that's like, that's a little questionable. I'm going to Austin today. I don't know if I told you.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry if I haven't told you. But
Kathleen Leininger says, I'm on the ABC train. Anybody but Cornyn.
I'll be there a couple of days. You don't seem interested.
You've told me I'm not. I'm going to have two good shows with you going.
Yeah, you know what? I believe you will. And I tell you what, you excel in my absence. I flounder. Cody, you've heard me say it. Too many of you.
I don't know that I excel. It's not easy to do it by yourself.
I know. I've been proud of myself for. I'm not a journalist. I'm not I don't know what I am here. Honestly, I
I'm
don't
not a
feel like I'm not an
journalist either. I was a
entertainer
trained
either.
broadcaster back in the day.
Yeah, and
I learned how to do a story with multiple angles and sides presented in that story so that the viewers or listeners could make up their own mind as to how they stood on a subject.
Whereas, see, I'm absolutely committed to my stance, right or wrong, and I typically just provide one view and then challenge you to refute it.
Well, that's the beauty of having a opinion-based talk show.
Yeah,
you can offer up stories, and then
it helps
your opinion.
It helps to be right most of the time.
Correct.
That helps.
Not just necessarily right, but correct.
Correct most of the time. I've been lucky in that regard because I give you my knee jerk usually. It's a highly trained knee jerk because I watch what happens all the time. I'm not just guessing here when I tell you things. I wasn't guessing when I told you Biden was out months before Main Street Media did. Very interesting. Before the debate, we told you Biden was out.
Yeah. How about Governor Shapiro? Not a lot coming out on this guy, but apparently some nut job was able to scale the fence at the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, throw a couple Molotov cocktails through windows and light his house on fire and forced his family out at 2:00 in the morning. And I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on.
That's wrong.
And he's a Democrat.
In Texas, that guy would just be shot. That's what would happen in Austin, Texas. I'm just telling you.
He got away from him. They found him, I think in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
They would never bring that guy to trial in Austin, Texas. Oh, I
don't think he would have got that close to the governor's mansion in Austin, to be honest.
He was mentally ill, blame the system. He was just trying to get his life together, Ash. He almost had it. Yeah. Now I got a spot right here on my hand, be small that I
don't pick it.
I'm not.
You're old. Your skin you'll end up septic.
No.
You'll end up with a huge black spot. It'll be
staph.
Necrosis.
We all have staph on us. It's not an attractive thing.
You can end up with.
Have you ever seen the little parasites and things that are on you that when they blow them up, you really magnify them, they look like dinosaurs. Stuff's scary. When was the last time they said anything other than this? President Trump is in excellent health, according to results of his annual fiscal. At what point will he not be? What is he, 76?
Older than that, isn't he? I don't know.
I can't help it. He's a big man, but I think he's got to be. They always say he's 6'4", 250. He's like 280. Let's get his stats.
78 years old.
78.
Lonnie is 54. He's almost 79.
Lonnie is still good to go.
First.
He took a cognitive test as part of his latest fiscal.
Yeah, Joe Biden never took one of those.
No, that's
June 14th, Trump will be 79 years old.
Trump's in good health, the doc says, citing frequent victories at golf.
So that's how you know now?
I guess he's been playing a lot of golf. I don't know if it's a problem. I don't think it's ideal that he flies to Mar-a-Lago every weekend. If that's what, in fact, he does.
I mean, the guy sleeps about 4 hours a day.
That's true. He works all week, folks. There's no doubt about it. He's known for being a tireless worker. What is this?
I don't know. CNN this morning. A new study out of Germany offers additional insight into the universal basic income programs. Researchers gave 122 people a check for $1,365 every month for 3 years. Participants were allowed to spend the money any way they wanted. And what they found is that they all continue to work 40 hours a week.
Well,
they
good. You can't live on $1,300 bucks a month.
That's exactly, especially in Germany, where a Coke will cost you the equivalent of $9.
Yeah.
More participants had the financial security to change jobs or obtain an education. Well, that tells me they saved the money.
Right.
Or invested it in themselves. So basically the government, then get rid of Social Security if you're going to do that. Give the people the money and say, here, you know what? We're not going to fund your retirement. You figure it out.
Well, and in addition, more participants had the financial security to change jobs or obtain an education, which gave them greater satisfaction in their work. They'd have even more satisfaction if they invested in themselves rather than you're taking other people's money. It's really kind of dumb. That's the problem with
It's
being a
interesting
Democrat.
though, because it does well, it's only 122 people, so who knows?
You run out of other people's money
but
at some point.
Well, but it does disprove the theory that these people would just go live on. But again, you probably can't find a place to live.
That's Germany. Here in America, we've got people that live on $2,000 a month that just lay around and do nothing when they could do more.
Christy Thurman says golf is a great way to clear your mind.
Golf is a great way to lose your mind.
At least he's not like Kim Jong nut job and claiming he's got 18 hole in ones. Yeah.
You know that guy can't play golf.
He can't play golf, but anybody around who challenges him on that is no longer around.
He's dead. Yep.
Yeah.
Kathleen Loninger with the last comment of the day. At least Trump can combine golf with work versus Biden having trouble keeping his feet under him while walking on the beach to get away from work. Folks, we hope you have a great day. It's a Monday. You can't win the week unless you win Monday. Get out there, be safe on the roads. Don't forget Allen's Wrecker Service. Get into Veracruz today and buy yourself a new Chevy. You deserve it. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar.